Number 15. The Village of Dolls. Well, there's a true-to-life one in Nagoro, Japan. The small village is located in the remote, mystical valley of Shigoku. This place is so tiny, it doesn't even have a shop or market. Being so far away from life and work, many of the village's residents have abandoned it for big cities. As a result, Nagoro was becoming a ghost town, which would be far less ominous than what it's actually become. More than a decade ago, Ayano Tsukimi took it upon herself to repopulate the village, but not with people, with dolls. Tsukimi had a calling. She returned home, and as she watched villagers abandon the village, one after the other, she began to create giant dolls to represent the people who left, whether they passed or left the village for bigger and brighter places. Now, the village is populated with 350 of these dolls. They fill the streets, the local schools, the abandoned homes, and the park benches. Made out of fabric, straw, and secondhand clothes, the dolls were successors of a scarecrow Tsukimi had made to look like her father. You should take a walk through the Valley of Dolls via a documentary of the same name. The doc explores the crazy world Tsukimi has created, the work she puts into making the dolls, and the effect the town full of inanimate people has on those who visit. Number 14. Tombstone eviction notices. Can the passed on be evicted from their tombs? In Japan, they can. Tombstones in Japan have been known to receive eviction notices from unruly landlords, such as the one who owns Kyoto's 8th century temple and who's supposed to make the back payment for the plot. The dearly departed below deck? No, actually, the living family members are supposed to pay up, and when that doesn't happen, their poor grandmother or long-lost cousin is removed from their peaceful resting place to make room for those who can afford the rent. With a population of 127 million on the relatively small island nation, it's no wonder that every square foot of land counts. Number 13. Hashima Island. The 16-acre Hashima Island, often called Battleship Island, lies 15 kilometers from Nagasaki in the south of Japan. The island was once inhabited, but has long since been abandoned. Though its concrete buildings remain, the seawalls of the island and undersea coal mines established there also symbolize Japan's rapid industrialization in the 19th and 20th centuries. At the height of its population, in the mid-20th century, upwards of 5,000 people lived on Hashima. However, as reserves of coal depleted by 1974, a closed sign was hung over the mine, and residents left the island for a brighter future. For 3 decades, the island was long forgotten, but the turn of the century saw a resurgence of interest in Hashima as tourism abounded. Wanting to take a step back in time, tourists flock to the ruins of the place, which has been undisturbed and untouched since the 70s. In 2015, the mysterious ghost town became a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Number 12. Aokigahara Forest. For those who choose to end their life, this forest is an aptly placed to do it. The 30 square kilometer forest northwest of Mount Fuji is a paradise of hardened lava, ice-filled caves, and densely treed forest, and, to some, it's the perfect place to live out their last moments on this earth. The forest is known for its solitude, and for the yurei that reside there. These are mythological ghosts who historically have made this forest their home. More recently, it has become infamous for being a destination to end your own life. It is so pervasive there that prevention signs have been placed along trails, and groups of volunteers help rake the forest to search for people each year. Earlier this year, Franz Lids of Smithsonian Magazine wrote in a comprehensive article about the forest, distraught teens and other troubled souls straggle through the 7,680-acre confusion of pine, boxwood, and white cedar. In the eerie quiet, it's easy to lose your way, and those with second thoughts might struggle to retrace their steps. Number 11. Dragon's Triangle. You've heard of the Bermuda Triangle, but have you heard of the Dragon's Triangle? This mysterious area of the Pacific Ocean off the Japanese coast is known as one of the 12 vile vortexes. What's a vile vortex? It's a region in which the Earth's electromagnetic waves have the most powerful pull. In fact, the pole of the Dragon's Triangle is directly opposite of the Bermuda Triangle, leading some to believe the energies of the two are somehow linked, and, mysteriously, they're both known for their strange phenomena. Disappearances of large vessels, like planes and ships, have been known to regularly occur in Dragon's Triangle. Ghost ships akin to the Black Pearl of Pirates of the Caribbean fame have also been seen there, floating foggily through the sea like a haunting nightmare. The strange activities occurring in Dragon's Triangle span centuries. In 1000 BC, fables gave the sea its name, as the Chinese thought a sea dragon of some kind laid in wait for ships and other floating vessels. When those directing the ships least expected it, the hungry dragon would launch up from the depths and eat the vessels whole. Flash forward to the 13th century, when Kublai Khan made several attempts to cross Dragon's Triangle and conquer Japan. 40,000 men and uncounted vessels were lost to the Dragon's Triangle. The 19th century saw new tales being told about the haunted area. A ghostly woman was said to be sailing a ship around the Dragon's Triangle. Even attempts to investigate the area for clues as to why such disappearances occur have failed, as research vessels, like the Kaio Maru No. 5, seem to vanish into thin air. 31 people were aboard that ship, never to be heard from again. That was in 1952. After that, the Japanese government put the kibosh on transportation and voyaging through the triangle. The Dragon's Triangle, a book by Charles Berlitz, claims that vessels still traveled there over the next 2 years, and 5 ships with 700 people aboard went missing, while others have attempted to debunk this mystery as something that can be explained away by natural phenomena like undersea volcanoes. Some still cling to the myths and legends. What do you think? Are there ghost vessels and massive dragons destroying everything that crosses their path in the Dragon's Triangle, or is the seismic and volcanic activity in the area evidence enough to point to nature as the curse? Until it happens to one of us as we venture into the triangle, we may never know. Number 10. Monster Octopus. Our oceans are mysterious places. So much of the sea is obscured in darkness. We truly don't know what is down there, drifting in the deep dark depths. Who's to say there aren't ancient creatures, massive and terrifying, just waiting to stir up trouble on the surface? One such mysterious creature may lie in the waters off the island of Hokkaido in northern Japan. Since ancient times, the indigenous Anu people have told of a gigantic octopus, which they call the Akoraku Mui, prowling Funka Bay, also known as Volcano Bay. The sinister octopus is bookended by 2 great and equally sinister volcanoes. The massive octopus is similar to Norway's famous beast, the Kraken. It's believed to be bright red and incandescent and around 110 meters in length. That's 360 feet. Some claim to have seen it from a long way off, and the Anu blame the hostile creature for sinking vessels that dare to venture into its territory. Those on land aren't safe from the great octopus's tentacle reach either. The octopus is believed to reel onto the beaches of the island, grasping victims and pulling them into the water to feast on. The Anu aren't the only ones to have witnessed the beast's presence in the area. John Batchelor, an English missionary who visited the island in the 19th century to write about Anu life, claims to have witnessed the octopus at work while there. His account states, "In the morning, we found the whole village under a cloud. 3 men, it was said, were out trying to catch swordfish, when all at once a great sea monster, with large staring eyes, appeared in front of them. The monster was round in shape and emitted a dark fluid and noxious odor. The 3 men fled in dismay, not so much indeed for fear, they say, but on account of the dreadful smell. However, that may have been they were so scared that the next morning, all three refused to get up and eat. They were lying in their beds, pale and trembling. Folklore or not, I wouldn't put a toe in the waters off the island of Hokkaido. Something fishy is certainly going on there. Number 9. Double tooth fashion trend. While Americans are known for obsessing over impossibly straight teeth, the Japanese are trending in the opposite direction. Crooked snaggled teeth are in. They're so in that a new dental procedure called Yeiba is all the rage in Japan, which literally translates to double tooth. This mysterious procedure runs anywhere from $170 to $450 per tooth, depending upon if the upper canines are capped temporarily or permanently. Just one question: why? According to Taro Masuka, Yeiba gives girls an impish cuteness. It's a sense of beauty unique to the Japanese, but Yeiba can be an attractive feature on women in their teens and 20s. Number 8. Banishment rooms. In nearly any other country in the world, if you're not a team player, bosses are more than willing to show you the door. Although being fired is never a happy occasion, it happens, and no one really bothers about it all that much. They just cut ties with their old employers and find new ones. Not in Japan. Japanese businesses don't want to pay severance packages to fired employees. They also don't want to disgrace the employee's honor by up and firing them. So what do they do instead? They invite these lackluster bunch to take a seat in a banishment room. The banishment room is a lonely place. An employee's time is spent doing mind-numbingly boring busy work, whether that's staring at a monitor for hours on end, filling out a pointless spreadsheet with figures, or being tasked with shredding documents. Some use the time productively and work on furthering their education. Others read. The place is like a recreation center in some respects. Maybe that doesn't sound so bad to you, but for those wishing to further their careers, the days, months, or maybe even years spent in a banishment room is wasted time. The goal of the banishment room is to trigger the employee's resignation. It's a passive-aggressive approach to letting an employee go without actually having to say the words, "You're fired." Believe it or not, this mysterious room is commonplace in Japan. It's not a rare practice and is, in fact, regularly used in big companies like Toshiba, Sony, Hitachi, and Panasonic. Some companies even call the banishment room their Business and Human Resources Development Center to avoid the connotation that banishment might bring. At one point, 468 employees were having the life drained from them in the so-called center at Panasonic. Imagine being banished, wasting your life away in a painfully plain room on pointless tasks. It's certainly not a pretty picture. Number 7. Work/travel napping. The Japanese work hard, so they deserve a nap time, and most get it, either at work or on public transportation. According to Yahoo Finance, overtime work in Japan has increased as firms cut workforces. About 22% of Japanese employees work 50 hours or more each week on average, well above 11% in the US and 6% in Spain, according to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. Despite labor laws permitting only an 8-hour workday and a 40-hour work week, many Japanese people work far more than that. One IBM worker in the article said she worked an average of 18 to 20 hours per day. This may be one of the reasons this crazy invention was developed. The subway chin rest, pictured here, it allows tired Japanese workers on their commute to and from work to sleep standing up. Another interesting bit of Japanese culture, a bit that many of us would like to adopt, is that bosses often encourage their employees to sleep on the job. Yep, you've heard that right. Hard workers don't even have to clock out to nap. They can just fall asleep at their chair. It's no wonder bosses don't mind their workers taking a little nap if they're pulling shifts upwards to 18 hours a day. The act is not only tolerated by the higher-ups, it's actually lauded by them because it means the employee is working hard. In fact, some claim to pretend to nap just so they can win some kudos from upper management, only in Japan. Number 6. Adult adoption. Who would want to adopt a 20 to 30-year-old man? The Japanese, that's who. Adult adoption is a thing in Japan, and a popular thing at that. Adult adoption is believed to have begun in the 13th century in Pure Land Buddhism and expanded between 1600 to 1868 AD, during which time samurais would adopt sons to strengthen their standing in society and business, particularly with families with no sons to carry on their father's line. The adopted son would stay the family name. The mystery of this practice is solved when you understand that the family name means everything in Japan. If a family hopes to spread their name, ancestry, and estate, they can adopt young adults who they think might be ambitious and talented enough to make a name for themselves in the business world, so to speak, and thereby strengthen and expand the family name of their adopted parents. The practice works as a social and economic tool for mobility. With one of the highest adoption rates globally, Japanese adoption often occurs to secure an heir. In fact, according to stats, more than 98% of adoptions in 2004 were processed for this very reason, with many of the adoptees being adult males. In 2011, upwards of 90% of Japanese adoptions were of 20 to 30-year-old adult males. Adult adoption was not always looked upon fondly. In fact, in the early 20th century, it was thought to be emasculating, with the adopted male being considered equivalent to a bride, since he took the surname of his wife's parents. However, as the practice became more and more related to capitalism and economic opportunism, adult adoption began to be lauded as sensible. The practice has also led to the creation of dating sites specifically for those young men looking to be adopted for the purposes of becoming a successor in business. The practice has also led to the creation of dating sites specifically for those young men looking to be adopted for the purposes of becoming a successor in business. Number 5. The swimming pool illusion. This pool was created as an installation by artist Leandro Elric. The permanent exhibit, located at the 21st Century Museum of Contemporary Art, is an optical illusion of sorts, making it appear as if visitors are over their heads in 9 feet of water. Normally, magicians never tell their magic tricks, but in this case, will spill the beans. In actuality, the swimming pool is nothing but an empty room. Elric placed 2 transparent sheets of glass at the pool's surface, between which 10 centimeters of rippling water is stored, creating the illusion. Visitors can check out the exhibit from above or below. When visitors above peer into the pool, it appears as though many full-dressed people are submerged. Those below water can look up and see viewers watching them in astonishment. Talk about a fishbowl effect. The senses are confused. The mind is confused. Everyone leaves confused, and Ehrlich has done his job as an artist. Number 4. A seriously old business. The oldest company in the world, Kongo Gumi, has its home in Japan. It's a construction company that originated around 1,400 years ago and was known as the oldest continuous independent company in the world. In 2006, it was absorbed by another and is now a subsidiary. The construction company started out as a family-owned company in 578 AD. It was then that a skilled immigrant, Kongo Gumi, started the company after the prince invited him to Japan from a then kingdom of South Korea. He was brought there to construct a Buddhist temple, and throughout the years, the company helped build many of Japan's most famous buildings. Osaka Castle, built in the 1500s, for instance. As mentioned previously in this list, the family name in Japan is very important. In fact, many of the family's son-in-laws were adopted by the Kongo family. Number 3. Taco Tamago. Hungry for a midnight snack? Head out onto the streets of Tokyo for some delectable Japanese street food. If you're looking to try something really strange, mysterious, and unique to Japan, delight your taste buds with the Taco Tamago. A bit squeamish? Then you might not want to know what this one is, but take one look at it and you'll get the idea. The taco tamago is basically a baby octopus on a stick. Yep, a whole baby octopus. What's even stranger is that its head isn't empty, it's filled with a quail egg. The octopus baby is then candied, speared on a skewer, and chomped away like a lollipop. The chewy snack is a mainstay on the streets of Japan. Number 2. Hikikomori. It's fair to say that the culture of Japan can be isolating, with long work days, hours on the clock, and a tendency to be more polite than gregarious. Japan's youth and adults are experiencing and becoming hikikomori, which literally translates to pulling inward, being confined. In other words, acute social withdrawal. In 2010, the Japanese government released statistics showing that 700,000 people in the country met the description of hikikomori, with the average age of those suffering the condition being 31. Those who are reclusive and uninterested, or even fearful of socializing, become more and more isolated and confined. These modern-day hermits are not your average socially awkward teenagers. They are those who take isolation to the extreme, often locking themselves in their homes for 6 months at a time. As more and more young people isolate themselves, researchers are looking closer at the condition. It is now diagnosed when the following criteria have been met. The patient spends most of every day isolated at home. The patient avoids social interactions and situations. The patient is functionally impaired. There is no physical impairment that causes the symptoms. The condition lasts at least 6 months. Some have cited societal and worldly pressures as reason enough to develop this condition. Others have said a lack of friendships and other relationships may be to blame. The stresses of adult life, responsibilities, and financial burdens may also come into play. Whatever the cause or causes may be, the mystery of this condition of angst is certainly overwhelming many. Before we get to number 1, my name is Chills and I hope you're enjoying the video so far. If you've ever been curious as to what I look like in real life, then follow me on Instagram at DylanIsChillinYT with underscores instead of spaces. I also have a Twitter at YT_chills where I post video updates. I'd really appreciate it if you followed me, and feel free to send me a DM if you have any questions or suggestions. If you'd like to see more of these videos in the future, then hit that subscribe button because we upload new countdowns every Tuesday and Saturday. Number 1. Miyokejima. While it's common to see some in heavily polluted cities wear surgical masks to prevent the inhalation of the pollution, there's an island in Japan in which residents wear gas masks all the time. Stood over a chain of volcanoes, Miyokejima Island has known some volcanic activity in the past couple decades. In fact, in 2000, 3,600 residents were forced to flee their homes due to natural gas from the underground. Miyokejima isn't safe at all. Volcanoes have erupted a half-dozen times there in the past 100 years alone, and 17,500 earthquakes shook the island after the eruption of Mount Oyama in June 26, 2000. Eruptions, earthquakes, 10-mile-high ash plumes, sulfur dioxide, and yet residents have returned to the island with their gas masks on. Why would anyone want to live on the next Pompeii? The dreary atmosphere is enough to turn most off to the island, but after 5 years of entry being prohibited by the government, the doors opened back up to Miyokejima, and 2,800 residents flooded in to repopulate the sulfuric dioxide-filled island in their gas masks. Although access to some areas continues to be restricted by the government and health checks are a regular thing, the gas mask-clad residents seem to be doing fine there so far. In fact, a whole new world of tourism has opened up. Ferry stations sell disposable masks to aid gas mask tourists in visiting this village. Tours of lava-destroyed schools, melting vehicles, and empty homes show the destructive nature of the elements, and believe it or not, people will pay to see it. Thanks for checking out this video. Be sure to subscribe because we upload new countdowns every Tuesday and Saturday. Or if you're still not convinced, here are some of our other videos that I think you'd like. Enjoy!